Hello,
Hello.
welcome to my chat.
Thank you for having
Um,
me.
so I'm here today with. Do you want me to call you Z or Zach? I should have asked that before.
Either or. It's okay. Doesn't matter.
Okay. So I met Zach through my ex-Jehovah's Witness group, and Zach told me their story, and it's one of the stories I've never forgot. After publishing that, and you was very brave because you put your name to it, and you said anyone that wants to contact me, here's my Facebook, come and contact me. Um, so yeah, I wanted to chat like growing up as a Jehovah's Witness and how it was for you, especially like with Jehovah's Witnesses being very homophobic and against changes of gender and sexuality. So to start with, tell us a bit about yourself. How did you come to be a Jehovah's Witness, and where did you grow up?
So I grew up in a very small town. Um, the town had approximately 8,000 in population when I left. So like it wasn't huge. It was a small farming town, whatever. We had more cows than we did people.
Okay.
But when I was in that town, I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. So I was just kind of thrust into the cult, not given a choice, not given a chance to decide for myself. So
Mm,
um as I was growing up, my parents would make sure that every single meeting we were there, and not only did we have to be at every single meeting, but we had to sit in the second row. So like the first
same.
row, yeah, the first row was assigned for like the elders or like the people who needed to go up on stage in a minute or whatever. At least that's how it was in our congregation. But the second row was my family. And now my family had 7 people in it, my parents and 5 children. So everybody knew the staying family because we would always
Mm,
sit in the same spot. And I felt like all eyes were on me 24/7, and I hated it. I hated it.
mm. Yeah, we had to sit in that second row, and the first row was always empty, and I hated that, especially when I
Hmm.
used to fall asleep because people would
Oh,
see my head bobbing and be laughing, and you feel like everyone's eyes are burned into the back of your
yeah. Hmm.
head, and then people notice if you don't put your hand up to answer for the watchtower and things like that. Because yeah, the front row was
Yep.
horrible. Yeah.
And the worst thing about sitting in the second row for me was the fact that now when I get cold, I get tired. Reason being is because the cold air return for the Kingdom Hall was underneath the stage, which was only a couple feet in front of us. So as soon as the meeting would start, the cold air would start because there's now people in there and whatever, and I'd immediately start falling asleep because I'd get cold and I'd get tired, and my brain just
Mm.
automatically assumed now, okay, cold equals tired. We'll nap now. It's fine.
It's good time to nap,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yep.
Yeah, you probably didn't miss much.
Oh hell no. I
Yeah.
guarantee it.
I used to get bored to sleep. I wasn't blasted with cold air. I just got bored of just listening to the same stuff over and over. Yeah.
Mhm.
So what about
Yeah.
going out in field service? How was that for you?
Well, it was very traumatizing as a child to be taught and to be prepared for the eventuality of getting shot at a door.
Wow.
And yeah. So like living in America, you have a lot of guns, you have a lot of lack of gun regulation for the correct ways of how to do shit and whatever. So just about anybody can go to Walmart, a chain here, and pick up a gun, which I have no issue with. I am all for owning guns. I am all for gun rights and everything. But it makes it very difficult when you're a child being told, well, everybody has a gun in their house. Just assume
Mm,
that everybody has a gun. And now you have to also assume that they're going to have that gun pointed on you through the door, and they're probably going to end up trying to shoot you.
scary. I'm
It
glad.
like,
Yeah.
sorry, my cat's trying to kill my backdrop. Yeah, so like field service was awful because as someone with anxiety, I would be wondering which door's my last. And that's not something for a child to be
No.
thinking. Like, ugh.
Yeah, that's harsh. Yeah, very harsh.
And my parents would bring me out every chance they could. Not just Saturdays, which was like the mandatory service day and whatever. No, it was afternoon witnessing, night witnessing, after meetings, after I got out of school. It was any chance they could. And
Mm.
I felt like a hypocrite all the time because I'm teaching something I don't believe in.
That's why I didn't really witness to people, because I
Hmm.
thought I can't really tell them stuff that I don't believe. And I didn't know
Yeah.
half of the answers. Like, I was going to ask you in a sec, like, how school was for you. But like at school, if people says, why don't you believe this? I'll be like, I'll come back and tell you tomorrow. And I'd have to go home and look it up and find out.
Yeah,
So,
most of my response to those questions were it's against my religion. And then immediately after like approximately high school, um immediately after like not high school, middle school, I apologize. Um After middle school, it turned into the cult would tell us, well, no, you can't say it's against your religion anymore. That's no longer the proper answer. You need to explain why.
mm,
And my brain couldn't comprehend why. I didn't understand why I wasn't allowed to do these things. So how am I supposed to tell the kids at school these things?
yeah. Especially if you felt yourself, it didn't make sense.
Mhm.
It's harder
Mhm.
to explain to somebody else.
And I was the weird kid in high school and school in general that would carry their Bible with them because I was told by my parents that I needed to have my Bible on me 24/7.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's
I
going to
would
make
get,
you a target.
oh yeah, I'd get bullied because I'd be carrying my Bible or whatever book that's being studied, and the cat's going after the backdrop again. Sorry. But yeah, like it was difficult,
Mm,
especially in school. Cause like in school I started as the very conservative, very cult minded, very stay by the book, don't have a double life. And then I got to high school, mostly senior year, and I was like, yeah, no, no,
mm,
I'm gonna be my own person now. And that's when the end of junior year, I cut my hair short. I started dressing more according to how I felt in my
mm.
soul instead of how my family wanted me to present. And that was fun.
Oh, yeah. You sent me a picture which I'll show you from when you was young.
Hmm.
I can bring that
Yeah,
up.
this picture was taken at my cousin's wedding, and I was a flower girl.
That's cute.
And I'm actually in that picture being held by my great great grandfather, I believe. It's either one great or two. I'm not sure. I can't remember. It was forever ago, and I believe I was the same age in that picture when he passed away.
Uh,
So, like it was fuzzy. But yeah, that picture was tiny me, and I don't like that long hair anymore. And I like the curls. I do. They're bouncy, they're fun, but no long hair, please.
yeah.
No, thank you.
So, what resonated with me as well, reading back over your story, was that you said that going to the meetings as a kid made you physically sick.
Hmm.
And it resonated with me because I had migraines, and it must have been like the thought of going to the meetings that was triggering me. So, I hardly went to any meetings in the last 2 years I was in because I just kept feeling ill before the meetings. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I had approximately the same thing because now mine was definitely psychosomatic because I did not want to go and I knew that I did not want to go. But most of the time it was migraines or it was like my stomach doesn't feel good or
Mhm.
something doesn't agree with me or whatever. And I'd make up any and all excuses that I could. And half the time, as soon as my parents left for the meeting, those symptoms, whatever they were, immediately went away, and I was fine, and I'd go about doing whatever I had to, and every single time. And it was approximately the last 2 years that I was in that it was doing that as well, because like I did not want to go at all.
Same. Like the best, worst excuse I ever made was I used to finish work at 6 o'clock, and then my stepdad would come and pick me up, and I had to be home and ready to go to the meeting, eat my meal, get changed by 6:30. And it was like a 5-10 minute journey of traffic to get home. So I used to have to like shove my food down me. And the one time I was in my bedroom and I was just like, I'm not ready. And I was like, come on, we're going to wait in the car. And I was like, I don't have any clothes that match. And I kept looking for my wardrobe. I was like, what are you talking about? Just put something on. I was like, I can't put something on if it doesn't match. And then they just fucked off and left me at home. I was like, okay, that was the best but worst excuse ever made.
I love that it worked too.
I just got bored of waiting. So I was like, cool, went downstairs, put the telly on, chilled out.
Right. I would purposefully let my room get atrocious. Now I'm talking like piles everywhere, just so that I'd have another excuse. Well, no, I can't find anything. I can't find my shoes, or I can't find my dress or whatever. And it worked. My parents hated it, but it worked.
Funny. And if they found out now, like, it was all excuses.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, they'd be livid and then some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, like, reading your story, you were saying that at age 14 you told your parents that you were bisexual, and had a girlfriend. So I can't imagine that went down too well.
Oh yeah, that went down really well. So there's a small story with that one.
Okay.
I was planning on running away instead of actually telling my parents. I didn't want to come out to them. I didn't want to explain that I didn't want to be a Jehovah's Witness. I wanted basically nothing to do with it anymore. In my brain, it was, well, you're going to immediately shun me anyway, so I might as well shun myself. Well, my plan to run away didn't go exactly to plan, because I accidentally messaged the wrong person on AOL Messenger. Like it was a while ago, so like AOL Messenger was my only able to communicate to people thing. So yeah, I messaged the wrong person, and she proceeds to tell her neighbor, who is friends with my grandmother. And the neighbor calls my grandmother and is freaking out, and my grandmother's like, I don't know what the fuck to do about it. Call their parents. So the neighbor then calls my parents, and my mom comes up at 11 o'clock at night. I was planning at leaving at 3 in the morning. My mom comes up to my room at 11 o'clock at night and says, are you planning on running away? And now immediately I'm freaking the fuck out, and I'm like, fuck. No. Like lying through my teeth. She's like, okay, I'll be on the couch. And for the next week, she slept on the couch so that I could not get out.
Wow.
But the morning after that was the morning that I actually came out to my parents and everything, because they sat down for Bible study, the daily text.
Yeah.
The daily text was every morning at 6 a.m. Why at 6 a.m.? I don't know. Even weekends. Please shoot me. It was bad. Yeah. So, we went down for the daily text, and 6 in the morning, and I'm groggy as fuck because I was awake for a while last night. And my mom again asked me, were you planning on running away? And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. They're going to find out anyway. Yes, I was planning on running away. And my mom's like, why? And I'm like, well, I didn't want to tell you guys that I was bisexual. And I didn't want to tell you that I don't want to be a Jehovah's Witness. I have no interest in it. And immediately they started in with the sexuality. They ignored the not wanting to be a Jehovah's Witness for, I'm going to say, a solid 10 minutes. Well, they immediately berated me about, well, what makes you think you're bi? Well, how do you actually know? Have you ever been with anyone? Have you ever done anything?
Right.
The hell does that mean?
Mm.
What does that have to do with attraction? Sexual, yes. Sexual attraction, you kind of have to do something in order to, like, figure out you're attracted to it. Yeah. No, but this was romantic attraction. Like, I think me and my girlfriend at the time kissed once in the entirety of our relationship. It's like it was a sweet little innocent high school sweethearts type thing. And my dad's sitting there trying to tell me that I'm having sex with her every other day.
Wow.
What made it better is that after that, I was not allowed to hang out with anyone at all, no matter the gender, because immediately they were going to be my next fuck buddy.
Wow.
Can you stop, cat? Did you get your claw stuck? Okay, he got his claw stuck. He's good now. Okay, sorry.
I mean, that's horrible for a child to, you know, be segregated like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what about was that the same like with other Jehovah's Witness kids as well, that you weren't allowed to be around?
Oh yeah, I wasn't allowed to be with the kids at school because the kids at school were a bad influence, as they believe all worldly people are.
Mm.
But I also wasn't allowed to be with the kids at the Jehovah's Witness congregation and whatnot because I was a bad influence on them. So from 14 to 18, I basically spent the time, if I wasn't at school, I was in my room. Unless I absolutely had to be downstairs. And then my parents thought I was depressed. And they got me a therapist, and her name was Nancy.
Okay.
Yeah. Turns out Nancy doesn't think being gay is wrong. And turns out Nancy thinks that there's a difference between depression and being oppressed by your parents. Yeah. And, like, I agree with her. But then I had to tell my dad that because he berated me and forced me to tell him what we were talking about in our sessions. And then I was never allowed to see Nancy again.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So you had one ally that you could talk to openly, and they took that away from you. Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and, like, it leaked into everything. Like, I enjoy art. Art is one of my biggest passions. But when you try to censor my art, there's issue there because I use my art to express what I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So when you tell me that I have to show you all of the pages of my sketchbook that I just ripped out so that you wouldn't see them so I wouldn't get in trouble, yeah, no. I panic and I show you the ones that are about my girlfriend. And then I wasn't allowed to get another sketchbook because she tried to censor it.
Wow. But it's still going to be, like, in your mind whether you put it down on paper in that sketchbook.
Yeah, I don't think she understood that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, so, I don't know. I got nothing.
What age were you? Because I know you've told me that you was born female, but you don't identify as female. So what kind of age did you realise that, you know, that's how you were?
I mean, it's always been a thought in the back of my head that, like, I don't fit in this body. Like, yeah, it's a meat suit. I'm here. I'll deal with it. But it was more of the fact that I didn't want to wear dresses. I didn't want to wear the pretty frilly clothing. I hated the frilly socks that my mom made me wear. And that stemmed back to, like, 7, 8 years old. And then even younger than that, I remember wanting to be a boy. And I'm not even joking. In 3rd grade, I asked my mom to cut my hair like a boy's. And she refused because asshole. But it's always just been kind of a thought that, like, it never really fit. I think I've actually started to like dive into my brain and like try to connect with that bit of myself that doesn't fit in this body. And only now am I realizing that I'm non-binary. It's not exactly one, it's not exactly another. It's somewhere in between. It's some mix of both. But I wasn't able to search for that. I wasn't able to identify that as a child, which really fucked me up. It made it to the point where I got into an abusive relationship and had to stay female for 4 years because he didn't agree. And like, that doesn't do shit for your mental health.
Definitely not. No. I was going to play. I hope I don't get a copyright strike for this. But I was looking on the JW.org website, as you do, just to see what they're teaching kids about sexuality. And for those that don't know, they have like, is it Caleb and Sophie? They do this cartoon series, and that's how they indoctrinate their children. So I found one, which I'm going to play the short video if I can share screen. It's the first time I've done this, so share screen, select window. Okay. Firefox. Well, I've just got to go through my pages just to find it. Okay.
All right.
Nope. So.
Don't mind me, I had to bring Sphinx to enjoy the video chat with me. This is the one that's been fucking with my backdrop.
So can you see that? That should be playing.
Mm-hmm. I've watched this video so many times.
Can you hear the video? I don't know.
Slightly. It's quiet, but I can hear it.
I didn't have time to finish Caleb's face. Carrie drew two mommies. She told me they're married to each other. My teacher says that all that matters is that people love each other and that they're happy.
Well, people have their own ideas about what is right and wrong. But what matters is how Jehovah feels. He wants us to be happy, and he knows how we can be happiest. That's why he invented marriage the way he did.
You mean one man and one woman?
Exactly. Look at Genesis 1:27. Jehovah created Adam and Eve, male and female. Then in Genesis 2:24, he said that a man will stick to his wife. Later, Jesus said the same thing. Jehovah's standards haven't changed. It's kind of like going on an airplane. What would happen if someone wanted to bring something on the plane that wasn't allowed?
We couldn't go on the trip.
Right. It's the same with Jehovah. He wants us to be his friend and live in paradise forever. But we have to follow his standards to get there. At Matthew 7:13 and 14, it talks about the road leading to paradise. To get there, Jehovah says we have to leave some things behind. That means anything Jehovah doesn't approve of.
But I want everyone to get to paradise.
So does Jehovah. And you know what? People can change. That's why we share his message. So, what can you say to Carrie?
Well, I could tell her about the paradise. I could tell her about the animals and the resurrection.
That's awesome. Let's practice.
It makes me sick that they're teaching children to accept the fact that people are going to die because they believe in something different.
And like that video, literally the first time I watched that, I was like, are they likening them to a terrorist trying to take something dangerous onto an aeroplane? I was just like, wow. And did you notice at the end, they just said, oh, we'll tell her about paradise, this, that, and the other. They didn't even mention anything to do with why they consider homosexuality to be wrong. It was just, let's tell her about the paradise and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
They didn't even give the kid any help to explain.
Right? And my idea behind that, or like, well, thank you, Mike. I have no idea who you are, but I think you're awesome too. Sorry. You're welcome. Well, I think it's funny because I was told to do that stuff with children as well. Like, we'll just tell them something else, and they can bring the person in, and then we can explain. So you would like me to bring the person into the fold, into the cult, so that you can then berate everything that they stand for and live for.
Yeah.
Like, how is that love? You preach love, you preach acceptance, but how is that love?
Yeah.
It boggles my mind. It really does.
It's very selective, conditional love at the end of the day.
Oh
As
yeah.
long as you're doing what they want you to do, then they will love you and show you love. As soon as you don't, I'll see you later.
It's like I remember my dad telling me the difference between everlasting life and immortality. And the reason that was a big thing was because whatever book we were studying at the time, it was probably the Revelation book, if I remember, whatever. But whatever book we were studying at the time, excuse me, sorry, they were talking about the paradise and how people on the earth would be living everlasting life. But the people who went to heaven, the 144,000, they would get immortality by the side of Jesus. And the difference between those two. And I always hated that, because you're telling not only children but everyone that you only get everlasting life on the basis that, well, you have to be perfect. It doesn't matter that you're a human. You can't sin. You can't go against God. You can't go any, like, what? How is that? How?
Yeah.
Like, now if we're going off the Bible literally says that humans are sinful and humans sin. So how are we not supposed to sin?
Yeah.
It's apples and oranges, except we're painting them purple and calling them grapes.
Mm-hmm. When you step back and break it down and think, because when you're in the religion, you just go along with it all, don't you? And it's just kind of, you're told not to question it, and you just accept what they tell you. So it's only when you step back and think about things and you're like, huh, that doesn't make sense. Like,
a lot of things don't make sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
But another thing that resonated with me from your story was you said that even when you was 18, you said that you got a job as a camp counselor, but then you get home and your parents would like clean stuff out of your room.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to like go into my room when I was at work and find things that I shouldn't have. And I was talking to my friend Anthony last night about how I had Smash Hits was a magazine. I don't know if you had it there.
Mm-hmm.
And it had the centerfold of Axl Rose. And I thought, my mum's not going to have a clue who Axl Rose is. And it had song lyrics. I think it was Paradise City. So I got a black marker pen and coloured out the song lyrics and put it like on the wall. And when I got home from work, it was screwed up on my bed with another poster. And I opened the poster out and she'd wrote in marker pen, "Flee from idols," like on my posters. And I was like, how the hell did my mum know who Axl Rose was to start with?
Right.
And that just shows like she used to go through all my stuff, and my stepdad would go and look at my CDs and he'd be like, "I want you to throw this away." And I'm just like, I'm an adult. Stop going through my belongings. So, you had that done to you as well.
Yeah, I was away at camp for 6 weeks. The first week was training. The other 5 weeks were the children were there and we were being camp counselors and whatever. And it was a sleepaway camp. Now, on the weekends, you could go home if you wanted to. But I didn't want to, because why the hell would I want to go home? So I'd spend the weekends at my friend's house from camp, and they'd bring me back and forth and whatever, and all was well. And then I get home, and there's like half of my stuff missing. And my mom had basically torn apart my bed. And now, surprisingly, she did not find the pack of cigarettes hidden underneath the bed, but she did
Wow.
find the romance novel that was hidden underneath the mattress. And that was a big deal because there was a sex scene in it.
Oh.
Oh yeah, it was a scandal in my family. Like, oh my god. And it went so far as to like movies, sketchbooks, books, anything at all that was not witness related.
Mm-hmm.
And most of it was thrown out. A very few things I was able to find in the garage after they decided whatever. But like most of the few things that I was able to find was shit that they basically wanted to show off to their friends. Hey, look what my kid had, and I took it away. No,
Wow.
it's my belongings. Give them back.
Exactly. Like, it's your personal possessions.
But they didn't care because it didn't go with, and I was still under their roof, so I still had to go by their rules. So I couldn't bring anything into their house that they didn't like.
I had a pile of things that I was like, not allowed to listen to that under the roof. Not allowed to wear that under the roof. I'd be like, okay, I'm going soon when I can, so I'm just going to leave it in a pile, and that'll be
Right.
my pile of what I can eventually use. So was it at age 18 you managed to get away from home?
Yeah, about 3 or 4 months after I was done being a camp counselor and I was back home, I had enough. Like, it was to the point where they were stifling me. They were smothering me with the cult. They were not letting me go do anything. They tell me that I needed to get a job and then would not provide transportation. And the closest town was 5.5 miles away. Now, keep in mind that I lived in the small town that was the closest to me. I lived 5.5 miles away from the center of town. So I'd have to walk that 5.5 miles one way and then walk it home. And so like I was trying to find something that was close, that was I was able to work it, I was able to do it, and they wouldn't let me do anything. I tried to apply to the tavern that was right down the road, and I couldn't work there because they sold alcohol. That's like 85% of establishments in the town I grew up in.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't understand. I really don't. But then after, basically, I was like, yeah, this is enough. I got a hold of a friend, someone I thought was a friend, and she was not a friend, but that's a whole different story. I got a hold of this friend from high school, and she helped me out. She came and picked me up, and she took me out about 40 minutes away from where I lived, and she let me stay with her. Except that kind of escalated into being raped after leaving my parents' house because her boyfriend at the time was on parole for allegations that somebody else brought up against him, which I'm almost 100% positive are true because of what he did to me, but whatever.
So sorry that happened to you.
It's life. It sucks, and I'm sorry it happened as well, but like, I gotta move past it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be sitting here thinking about it and not being able to move on. So like, I tried. I did. And then I immediately move in with someone who was also abusive. But I didn't find that out until a year later. Yeah.
Sounds similar to my story.
Yeah. And I blame that on my parents. I really do. And like, I'm not trying to not take blame or whatever. Like, I understand I am naive. I am young still. I'm still trying to figure out this fucking thing called life. But you have to teach your children to say no. You have to teach your children to walk out of situations that are uncomfortable. And if you don't do that, you're setting up for failure. because my parents never taught me how to say no to someone.
Yeah.
My parents told me, well, you respect the man of the house. You respect your elders. I have no issue with respect. I really don't. But you can't expect your children to say no when someone tries to make an advance on them that they don't want.
Yeah.
And like when I left my parents' house at 18, that was not the first time I got raped. The first time was at age 16 when I was working on the midway of the local fair. And so like I was in with all like the games and the rides and everything, and I was just sitting at a vendor's booth helping sell their wares and whatever. But I was preyed on by a 25-year-old. And I did not know how to say no because my parents never taught me. My parents never said, hey, only go with people your age. Or, hey, only do what you can for what you can. No, it was respect your elders. It was just go along with it. And I very much so blame them. Like, and now, yes, I was a naive 16-year-old. I'm not denying that. But you have to help me out if you want me to not get into these situations.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because they try and keep you away from the world, but then they also need to educate you about this kind of things because you're still living in what they call the world.
Yep.
So you can't just like pretend situations like that aren't going to come up and exist because, you know, you need to teach your kids to be aware,
Yeah.
you know, of predators and that, you know. Crazy.
And also to answer the question on screen, that I know of, in moderation, Jehovah's Witnesses can still have alcohol because everything in moderation. It was just my parents that was very against it, which is ironic because my father was an alcoholic.
Right. I think working in a bar as well for them, they see it as kind of like a bad atmosphere. So they know they're going to be like, well, you're going to be around drunk people, you're going to have people coming on to you, you're going to have people doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. So I don't think it's so much like the fact that they because they do drink alcohol in moderation.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like they see that as like a bad environment. So
thank you for the hugs. I send hugs back to everyone listening.
I'm guessing these guys are all in my group because I think because it's a closed group, it doesn't show their names up. I think you have to give StreamYard permission. So
yeah, probably.
That's true. Nobody deserves that.
Thank you. And you don't have to be sorry. Thank you for saying sorry, but you don't have to be sorry because you're not the piece of shit who did it. So like thank you for being aware of it and thank you for having sympathy and everything, but like you're not the asshole, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little ironic.
No, like, you know, you went through a rough time, that's for sure. So when you eventually moved out of home, did your parents stay in contact with you, or?
I mean, they tried to. Like, it initiated with a home visit from my parents.
Right.
And that was when I was living with the abusive ex. Not okay, so that was the first household. That was the one that I was raped in. And then there's the one that I moved to after that. That's the one I was in when my parents came to visit. And they basically saw how I was living and immediately called the Kingdom Hall in the area and immediately had someone come and talk to me. And the person who came to talk to me literally straight up said, "Hey, Michelle, your mom came and wanted me to talk to you." From the entirety of my life, my mom should know I don't want to talk to witnesses right now. I don't want to be a witness. Like, but okay, whatever. So yeah.
So did you get baptized? I didn't ask you that.
I did not get baptized, thankfully. My parents were trying to push it from literally the age of like 4, and I'm not joking.
Wow.
My sister got baptized at the age of 9, and now actually baptism was the defining factor of me leaving the cult, because at age 9 or sooner, you can decide to get baptized and dedicate your entire life to this cult. But you can't do the opposite. You can't leave until 18, or preferably when your brain matures and at 25.
I thought me getting baptized at 13 was young. 9. I mean, I've seen a lot of people in the group say that there are now a lot of kids getting baptized at 9, 10 years old, and you can't make a decision at that age because you don't think about consequences. Like if someone says to you, well, you're 9 now, you love Jehovah, yes, get baptized, yes. Well, what about when you're 18 and you start to see things as an adult and you're like, well,
right,
I don't believe this religion anymore. Well, that's basically tough shit because you made a dedication to Jehovah. You need to stick by that, even though you were 9.
Yep.
I'm one for definitely saying they should only baptize adults who 100% know.
Oh, yeah. And to the person who commented, yes, I am extremely glad I did not listen at the age of 4, because no, I don't want that. Thank you. I don't know if I even knew what the fuck baptism was at the age of 4. I went to the meeting so I could sit there and scribble in my notebook and pretend to take notes. That was the extent of why I was there. And then to play with the kids after the meeting. Like, I didn't know what the hell I was listening to. I had no idea what the hell was going on. But it was acceptable for a 4-year-old to get baptized.
Yeah, and it's like they spin you this narrative of you get baptized, you'll get to go into the paradise and you'll be able to have a pet lion and a pet panda. So all kids are like, yay, that's great, that's all I want. So you don't really think about the whole implications of what you're doing.
And on that note, on the paradise and the animals note, when I came out to my best friend, which I didn't actually get a chance to come out to her because somebody else spilled the beans beforehand. Whatever, fuck him. Anyway, so I came out to her, kind of, and like obviously she was a witness because growing up I wasn't allowed to have any friend that wasn't a witness and whatever. And now she was my first crush, and she didn't know this. To this day, she doesn't know this. So, whatever. But she straight up said, I want to have a house next to you in the paradise, and I want to have our animal farm together in the paradise. And I'm sitting there bawling my eyes out because, like, she's my best friend, and in my brain, I'm never going to see her again, which I actually did not. Except for once in Walmart, because she was shopping with her at the time husband, which I'm guessing is still her husband, because their thing on divorce. They said no.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, like, it was tears and it was bawling, and her main thing was, well, I want to have a pool of piranhas with you.
Okay.
I'm good with the pool of piranhas. I'm okay with this. But I'm not going to be in the paradise.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to be in the paradise. Like, not for your lack of belief, but for the lack of, is it actually a thing? Like,
yeah.
It was supposed to be 1914, and then 1915, and then 1978, and then how many other dates since then?
75, because I always joke that I am their Armageddon. Because I was born in 75.
Yep.
So it's like, and then like 2000, things were supposed to happen. And now I haven't even looked into the whole bullshit of this overlapping generations, because I just thought, I don't even want it explained to me, because it doesn't
it makes zero sense.
It's ridiculous that they're all still like sticking in this religion, even though it just keeps getting things wrong and wrong and wrong. Yeah.
One of the first things I did when I actually had my own money and I actually had the ability to do this on my own was wrong fucking thing. I got a tattoo. And this is actually my Aunt Sophie sitting on the porch of her house, which is another story. Anyway,
Was that a dragon?
yes, it is. Yes, my aunt is a dragon.
Okay. I thought I heard that right. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So growing up, because she was not in the cult and we weren't allowed to have friends, even if they were family. We weren't allowed to have the friends that were not Jehovah's Witnesses. So I never got to know my aunt. So to me, because she chain smoked, she was the dragon lady who always had smoke coming out of her nose, who was always chilling at her house. And the reason her house is a dollhouse, which I know it's very hard to see, but the reason her house is a dollhouse is because she always used to say that her house was a dollhouse. It was too small. It was a dollhouse.
Okay.
So she's sitting in front of her house protecting it. And she's got the breath of smoke coming out of her lungs. So I remember that she was always feisty and everything. So yes, that dragon is my aunt. But yeah,
See,
that was one of the first things I did on my own because I said fuck them.
Exactly, like one of the first things I did was when I got a tattoo as well, because I was just dying to have one, and I went and dyed my hair bright red because I was in trouble the last 2 years. I was going to the meetings anyway because I used to go to the meetings dressed like a cross between Marilyn Manson and the Shakespeare sister.
Good.
So I was always
it.
in trouble, and the elders were always telling me off for looking goth. And so yeah, the first thing I did was like dye my hair bright red and got tattoos. And I was just like, I want to be who I want to be. Like when I left, I still kind of believed that Armageddon was going to happen. And I just said to my mum and stepdad, who was an elder, I'm not going to get through Armageddon anyway. So what's the point? I might as well just go out and live my life. I literally thought I probably got about 5. This was 96. So I thought I got probably 4 years left, thinking 2000, something's going to happen. And now I'm here 24 years later. And it's like, wow, I didn't expect that we'd all still be here right now. But it's great to see like the amount of people that are waking up now and joining the group. And there's so many people in the group as well that are discovering their sexuality and figuring out who they are. And I try and keep the group very kind of safe for people in the community because they haven't been able to express that and talk about it. So I think it's a subject that needs to be talked about. And then especially when there's people like you that have been through the whole experience of feeling suppressed of who you are. Is there any advice you would give somebody that's still a witness now, maybe in your position?
So to someone who was in my position, like now, I would definitely tell them, 1, keep experimenting. I don't care if it's in your head. I don't care if you are calling yourself different pronouns, if you're using whatever. It doesn't matter. Keep experimenting. Keep trying to figure yourself out. Because I've gone through like 5, 6 different labels of my gender alone. And like it's still varying. I'm still figuring out who I am. So if you don't know who you are, have fun living an accurate and happy life. Keep experimenting. Keep trying to figure out who's inside. Because especially to someone who's still in, you're told what to believe. You're told what to feel. You're told to ignore your feelings. So try to figure out what they are.
Yeah.
Like, work with them. Don't push them away.
See, I remember I used to buy a magazine called The Clothes Show, and I used to whip out all the cool adverts because some used to be black and white and some would be like really cool visual colours. And I made like a massive collage on my wall. And I think there was more women on there than men. But my mum made me take all the men off my wall. And then I thought, well, okay. That's a bit
This is a little
strange. And then
gay.
when I left the religion, my friend, who the eldest told me to stop hanging around with her because I met her through work, but I kept her as my best friend, which I was glad when I left because I literally had her and the guy I got with. And she confessed to me that she thought she was bi, and I was kind of like, explain that to me. And then she explained, and I was like, well, I think I'm attracted to some girls as well. And then I thought, hang on a minute, my mum made me take all the men off my wall. She obviously missed a trick there, just presuming that I was straight. But at the time, I hadn't even thought about it. And then the more I thought about it, like the past couple of years, I thought, well, I'm not specific to male or female gender. Like, if somebody has transitioned, that doesn't bother me. If somebody identifies as another sexuality, that doesn't bother me. And then I thought, I think I'm pan. Because, like, I'd never really thought about it before. And, you know, it's not that I want to label myself, because to me, it's part of who I am, but it's not who I am, if you know what I mean. It's part of me, but I don't talk about my sexuality all the time. If someone asks me, I'll tell them, you know, I've got no problem with that. But it's such a relief to feel that now I can just be attracted to who I want to be attracted to, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day. So, you know, that feeling of freedom is just like, yes. Which must have been great for you when you left. You must have been just like, yes, I can just do what I want now.
Right. And then I proved my father right that I will fuck almost anyone. But
like, you too. Thanks for joining.
But like, safe sex. So like, be good, but have fun. We're good.
I mean, yeah, power to you. Do what you feel like. I'm too picky, I am, so, you know. I'm very selective. I end up in a situation where it's always people like me and I just want to be friends with them. And then people that I like don't want to be with me. So I just end up going, I've been single for like over 10 years now. I've had encounters, but I've been officially single. But I just keep going around in this like vicious circle. So I've kind of just gone now. I'm not going to chase anybody. If it happens, it happens. I'm quite an independent, solitary person, so I don't need to be around people all the time. So I'm just like, So how's your life now? Because I know I kind of saw your boyfriend earlier, but I didn't.
So I am living with my boyfriend and a couple of roommates. It is not the same person I was with before. Thank fuck. He is amazing, and he accepts my gender. He accepts my sexuality. We're in a polyamorous relationship.
Okay.
So like, I'm a pansexual, polyamorous, non-binary person. I don't make choices. That's what that means. I just don't make choices. But yeah, I'm doing pretty good now. I'm trying to still figure myself out, still trying to find my way in the world and whatever, but like, my boyfriend's really helping me, and he's a fucking godsend and then some. I love him to death. I do.
See, I love it when people like you find great people. Like, I had a chat with my sister about the abusive relationship she went through, and now she's got a great guy. So again, it's like, it warms my heart, just like people that have been through so much shit and suppressed, and then they find good people.
And like, I'm not saying every single relationship I've ever been in, but every long-term relationship I'm in, or I have been in, it's all been toxic. Like my parents, it's a relationship, it's a family relationship, but toxic. The person I moved in with after my parents, not only was her boyfriend toxic, but she was toxic as well, because to this day she still stalks me. She still thinks it's my fault. Yeah, it's my fault that her boyfriend decided to do that. So she kicked me out a month after I moved in because it's my fault.
What? Victim blaming or what?
Right? That's what I thought. And now she's had sexual abuse encounters. She has had... She's been raped more than once. So I don't understand how a victim can come in with that victim blaming mindset, because like I understand you're living your best life now. You've moved past it. You're like, that's good. But how do you blame a victim?
And if
Again.
if he had previous allegations, was it their fault as well then?
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah,
how
because
come it's all these victims' fault?
Yep, according to her, to the girlfriend, the person who has the allegations against him, completely lying. There's no truth in it. As soon as you meet him, you'll know he's a big teddy bear. Yeah, okay. Is that why I was asleep when he decided to fuck me?
Wow.
Like,
Has he had any more allegations since? Do you know? Like,
I have not kept in contact with him. I have absolutely no idea. The last I knew, he owned a business and had a girlfriend. And my ex, the abusive ex that I moved in after the rapist and then the abusive ex, yeah. That abusive ex not only supports his store after knowing for a fact who raped me and that he raped me. My ex supports the store. My ex supports his business, supports him, has regular contact with him and his girlfriend, and proceeds to tell me that I should not slander his name because I don't have proof.
that's like the two witness rule. Like, how do you prove?
Right?
Like
wow.
Wow.
I was asleep. The reason I know this is because I had fucking nightmares about it. Because I felt when I woke up like I just had fucking sex. Like, I'm sorry that I didn't go to the hospital and get a rape kit done. It was only like 3 months later that I started having nightmares about it, so they wouldn't have found anything anyway.
I hope somebody shops him in to the police and, you know, someone with evidence, and he gets what he fucking deserves. Like,
Me too. Especially since he has preyed on more than one person that I know of.
Vile human.
Yep.
I'm so sorry you had to go through all that shit, man. That's just...
It's life. Rough, I'm here. I'm happy that I'm here. I'm happy that I've survived through all of it, and that's all I got. Like,
and
I'm trying.
You're doing well. So for anyone that wants to contact you,
anyone that wants to contact me, you can get a hold of me via my Instagram, via my Facebook. Oh, I agree. He's a piece of shit. I don't know which he you're talking about in the story, but most he's in this story that are a piece of shit. Thank you for agreeing. My Facebook is Zachary Tyler, ZACHERY TYLER. My My Instagram is the same. And my Instagram has a picture of fluffy hair like this, except it's purple and there's a snake in it. So don't be alarmed when you see a snake, because I have a corn snake and he was using my hair that day as a jungle gym.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool.
I'm glad I survived too. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. It's been great chatting, you know, with you, and
it's been amazing chatting. I hope we can do this again.
Yeah, definitely.
Down the road sometime.
Yes. So, what I've been doing at the end of my stream is reading out some of the victim stories, because it's been a good while since I've started putting those out online. So I've got a few I was going to read out before we go today.
Okay.
So I always put my camera in front of my screen and then I can't read. So, when a school counsellor reported my abuse to the CPS, I received the worst beating of my life, and my stepmother nearly succeeded in drowning me in the bathtub. When I tried to tell an elder what had happened, he stopped me and said he would not get involved, as a parent had the right to discipline a disobedient child as they saw fit. That was the first time I would try to kill myself, as I realised how very alone and trapped I was. I was 11 and was labelled a I need to remove that comment. I was labelled a troubled child. And this one I've never forgot. My friend, she took her own life, 14 years old, because she was being raped by her father. Over and over, the elders did not believe her. Instead of having her father arrested, she ended up pregnant with her father's baby. They called her a whore. My Jehovah's Witness husband was physically beating my preschool son and I. I told the elders, and they told me that he would quit if I prayed enough, preached enough, studied hard enough. Jehovah would change him if I was pious enough and didn't call the police for help. When I ran for protection, I was kicked out. My parents and friends aren't allowed to speak to me now. I started over with no education, no job, and no friends or family, with 2 preschool children at age 25. My judicial committee for my second disfellowshipping, I was 23 years old. I was asked how many times the guy sucked on my breast, how many times he put his fingers in me. It was humiliating. All the questions was asked before I had sex with the guy. Actually, after they left and I felt so violated, and fuck it, I said fuck it and went and had sex with the guy. When they decided to meet back with me 2 weeks later, I told them I'd had sex and was with the guy 3 times at that point. I proceeded to be disfellowshipped.
I too would fuck out of spite.
So that's just another 4 victims that have told me their stories. And I'm going to keep reading them out because this needs to be out there so the public are aware of what happens behind closed doors in this religion, because victims just do not get justice. They're not believed. They're the ones, I've known people that have been raped and they've been disfellowshipped because they were raped. And then they've lost
the
their
one
whole
story, being called a whore because your father is raping you and you get pregnant with his child. How am I the whore in this situation?
Isn't it? It's disgusting.
It really is.
And thank you to everyone, including you as well, Zach, that's trusted me with their stories to put them out there. And I will keep doing it. So if you guys out there have got a story, contact me. Emma Meller on Facebook. I run Jehovah's Witness United group. I have a page, former stories of abuse, former Jehovah's Witnesses. I've probably got that in the wrong order. So yeah, contact me and I'll put your story out there, whether you want it to be anonymous or you can put your name to it, because people need to know what goes on. I fucked out of spite too.
I'm glad you fucked out of spite. Like, yes, good. Like, safe sex, but yes, fuck out of spite.
So on that point, thank you everybody for watching and listening to Zach's story. I'm going to end the broadcast, but don't go off yet, because then you come backstage. I always forget to say that to people. So
it's okay.
Catch us on the next one.
Bye.